Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Hardwood Nation podcast with your boy, C.L. Anthony, my second main man, Michael Friends, and Big Pat. What is going on, fellas?
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning,
How are
gentlemen.
you doing, sir?
Life is good. Happy Father's Day to everyone who's a father, and hopefully your kid's not ungrateful as mine. So, with that
Likewise,
being, with that being said, the OKC Thunder played a tight game with the Indiana Pacers and pulled it off. I'm going to throw it to Pat first. How big of a win was Game 4 for the OKC Thunder?
It was very major for them because if they didn't win, they would be down 3-1. So it's pretty much impossible to come back in a series once you're down 3 games. So it was very pivotal for them to win this game, and it's definitely kept them in the series. So hold on, I am right with my math, right? It's 2-2.
Yeah, it's 2-2. You're right.
You're right.
We'll make sure.
You're
But yeah. Yes, it was a big game. I didn't think they were going to pull it off because they were down most of the second half, but very big game for them and a statement game as well for OKC coming back the way they did. It was a very contentious game and very exciting. So, yes, very important for them to win Game 4. Very, very important.
Mike, there was shenanigans in that game. I mean, of course, the extender was in the game. But with that said,
I would, bro. You took the words right out of my mouth because I was going to mention, hey, Scott Foster was the referee today.
Right.
Let's go. All right. Which real quick here, I made a comment in the last episode where I was like, hey, did Vegas make that call? And it was funny because I almost was like, because Pat was like, hey, we're not going to believe in conspiracy theories here, but hey, conspiracy theories or not, Tim Donaghy was real.
And Scott Foster is Tim Donaghy's best friend. So
exactly.
You sound like a Laker hater, sir. That's what you sound like.
With that said, knowing that the extender was in the game, knowing that Indiana got tight in the fourth quarter, but also knowing that there were some shenanigans and some fouls that were called and some fouls that were not called, how much credit do you actually give OKC for this win, considering they did have their backs against the wall?
So speaking of the extender and this point that you're making here,
this man,
it turned out that Scott Foster, ref in that game, ended up having Indiana with more foul calls. So I think that was, if we're going to try and bring that into a point, OKC had to overcome that themselves. I mean, it was huge, period. The game itself had a lot on the line with momentum, with, let's say, Scott Foster reffing, et cetera. They overcame a lot, in my opinion.
So the final, not the final shot, but the shot that Shea hit to give OKC their first lead in the second half, which was an offensive foul and a travel right in front of Scott Foster's face. What do you think about that move? Because it's not about the fouls that you call all the time. It's about the shit that you don't call. So sometimes when it's right in your face. Did you see the slow motion of that?
I did. I did.
It was gross.
But that's when I say, well, did Vegas make the call? Like when there's some blatant shit like that, it's
right. Pat, did you see that? Did you see that shot in slow motion? It was the one Shea hit to give OKC the lead in the second half, in the fourth quarter.
I did see it, man. But when it comes to stuff like that, it depends on what side of the call you're on. They miss calls all the time in games, man. And I'll yell at the TV, and it's I think it's part of the game, but I don't know, man.
I mean, that was an offensive
foul. It is what it is, man.
Steps.
So many, huh?
I said it was an offensive foul in like 5 steps.
My conspiracy is it was a glare in his eye and he didn't see it.
He saw Kylie Jenner sitting in the side. It was like, hey,
what it was.
Something like that, man. I don't know.
So the series pivots back to Oklahoma City for Game 5. The series is tied 2-2. So now we're going to alternate each game as far as who's going to be home. So the best 2 out of 3, OKC has 2 home games. They absolutely deserved it via their regular season record. So predictions for Game 5. My predictions aren't going to change. I still said Pacers in 6, so that means the Indiana Pacers has to win the next game at OKC Game 5. Mike, what you got?
OKC.
Pat, what you got?
Ooh, man. I go either way. It's game to game to me. It's game to game. First game, I did not expect the Pacers to win. And it's going on that pattern right now. Win one, lose one. So I don't know, man. I can't. I'm not confident in either pick, man. But I will say, I think not the Lakers. Excuse me. The Pacers are going to win in 7. So I'm going to pick.
That's tough, man. That's tough.
The Pacers to win.
That's tough.
Game 5, Pacers.
For the
you know what? Let me say something here real quick, because the point right now with Pat trying to come out with a prediction was difficult. That means this finals has been that good. You know what I mean? Like, it could go one way or the other. Like, I'm just confident in OKC being at home, right? But they've lost and they've won, each of them. It's even. The whole thing it's been very, very not just interesting to see the parity and what we've talked about over the past couple of weeks, but the fact that this series is neck and neck, as equal as it can get.
Yep.
This is what I say for the stat heads. I can't remember the exact dates on it, but neither one of these teams, like, they rarely lose 2 games in a row. Okay. Mm-hmm. So now it's on the Pacers not to lose their second game. So whoever loses 2 games in a row first, which I know we're pretty much at the end of this thing, but whoever loses 2 games in a row first is going to be the one that loses the series. That's the way it is, because these teams are so fucking close. Now, one observation I made in Game 3, which I didn't like, was Shea admitting that he was tired. I didn't like that. You don't admit it when that's their game plan to try to make you tired. You just don't admit that, right? Then Game 4, they came back. They won the game. I mean, both teams were hitting the toughest shots I've ever seen in a long time. But OKC was clearly tired in Game 4. Now, pivoting to Game 5, you have three days of rest pretty much. That's advantage OKC. Like, did you guys notice the fatigue with OKC players?
Oh, absolutely. It was so obvious. It's not even funny.
Yes. But that shows you the pace the Pacers play. They very up and down team. So it's starting to wear down on them late in the season.
A conversation me and Bryce had yesterday, he said, do I think OKC can recover? And I said, well, this 3-day break is the best thing for them right now, as well as being at home for Game 5. But I just don't know how quickly they can shake out of that being fatigued, because, man, they look like they were cooked, okay?
Yeah, especially Game 3, like end of Game 3, like quarter 4, when it really counted, and that's when Indiana really started pulling away, because OKC was up damn near the whole game. Yeah. It's crazy that we're sitting here talking about how these 2 teams are so evenly matched, but yet OKC has led the majority of this whole series, period. Up until that takeover in Game 3 in quarter 4, the Pacers still had really only led for 0.3 seconds. You know what I mean? Because they had a blowout in Game 2. So that's why I find it interesting as far as how the series has went. You would think on paper, the way that it would look, OKC would be up 3-1, or whatever it may be. So, but we're still sitting here at 2-2.
Yeah, with this series, you can throw stats out the window. Generally, for example, the team that wins the 3-point percentage it makes is a team that wins the game. Generally, now in today's NBA, and that was definitely not the case last game.
Right.
One more thing I want to ask about Game 4 is that Tyrese Halliburton, is there an issue with his aggressiveness? Pat, I'm throwing it to you first.
that's been a thing I've seen around, talked in circles, especially amongst the former NBA players when they talk about it. When he needs to be aggressive, they say he needs to be more aggressive because of the level of ability of his teammates. But I don't know. I'm still kind of up in the air about that. I feel like he takes over when he needs to, especially on those late game runs in the fourth quarter. But what there's people are saying is that they want him to be more aggressive throughout the game. So
Right.
I really don't know if that would fit the team style of play because they really rely on everyone contributing to the team throughout the game or scoring throughout the game. I don't know if that would mess up their chemistry if they're just like, Tyrese go beat Kobe for the game. I don't know how that would really work, but and I don't know if he's even capable of carrying a team like that. So and to do that this late in the season, it might work for one game maybe, but if you're trying to close out the rest of the series, I'm not sure if that would work for them. So I'm kind of on the fence about him being more aggressive. I think they should continue to do what they're doing because it's worked up until this point. And yeah, I don't know if he needs to drop a 30-point triple double like he did against the Knicks, then maybe he needs to do that in game 5. Game 5 and 6 and 7. But
He should have
I'll
said.
say
All three of them. Hey, let's get 3 of them in a row.
3 in a row, bro. But that would be him being more aggressive.
I dig it.
That's crazy what I just said. But yes, he'll be more aggressive if he's dropping a 30-point triple double.
No,
I don't think it's necessary for them to win. They're doing good, currently doing what they're doing. So I don't really buy into that. To answer your question.
No, you're good. So last week we were knee deep into the NBA Finals and predictions and breakdowns and stuff like that, and I forgot, which was my fault. I forgot to mention the Knicks firing head coach Tom Thibodeau. Now, with that said, from the last time we recorded up until today, there have been like 4 days of pure hilarity in the basketball news cycles because every team that the Knicks have contacted as far as trying to interview their coach has turned them down. So I'm going to throw it to Mike. God knows I hate New York. But how big of idiots are the Knicks who apparently fired Thibodeau without having a plan or a successor already in mind?
I mean, I think it was they want to own it as a statement move, I guess. I don't know what their whole. I mean, we're sitting here talking about no plan whatsoever, so it's hard to believe really like anything that they can go towards this, like except for it's just a dumb move, and there's nobody really that they can talk to, I mean, Suns have a few fired coaches that have been through the mill, you know what I mean? So, I mean, what are you guys going to do here? I think there's a hope. And now with not only not getting a coach, but now hearing the top teams for Kevin Durant, it's like, well, all right, what are we going to do here, guys? You guys are going to be sitting ducks next season. It's going to be it's a mess in New York. Just when you think that they've got it figured out, they go and screw it up.
But that's what they always do. That's what the Knicks always do. It takes them 10 years to get back, and then they get back, and then they fuck it up again, and it sets them back another 10 years. That's just what they do. Pat, what do you think of the New York situation right now?
I agree with everything you guys just said. There isn't any consistency with them. The only thing consistent is that they're dysfunctional. So I didn't know that. I didn't even know that they didn't have any prospects in mind. I just learned that they didn't. Have.
Well, the first hope was that they were going to get a conversation with Jason Kidd, and they were like, "Nope."
Yeah, that
was their number one.
The head coach of the Mavericks. Like that's crazy.
Yeah,
you better call Phil Jackson. They got John Starks, Mark Jackson.
You know what though? Let me ask this though. Knowing where Dallas is sitting right now, okay, granted, they won the draft lottery, However that happened, whatever.
Bullshit.
Um,
But yeah.
Right. So we know they're going to end up with Cooper Flag, right? So Nico moves Luca mid-season. He's under fire the whole time, the rest of the season, until they get this number 1 pick. Knowing where Dallas is actually at in almost like a complete rebuild now because they have to rebuild from Luca being gone. I mean,
Kyrie.
do you think this is more of Dallas saying, no, you can't talk to Kid, or Kid actually saying, I'm not even intrigued. Like, I don't even want to talk to them. Do you think that he would actually entertain a conversation with New York?
I think it's more Dallas not letting him talk to New York because Jason Kidd has proven throughout his entire career, on and off the court, that he's not loyal. So I think
Good point. Good point.
So I think
Yeah.
I think it's more of a Dallas move because New York's plan was to get Jason Kidd there so they could get Giannis there because Kidd was one of his favorite coaches. So that's what the bullshit move was, right? But no, Jason Kidd has never been loyal in his entire career. So no, if he had a chance to talk to New York, he would fucking talk to New York, okay?
Good point.
Yeah. Speaking of unloyal, our next topic. Mike, I'm going to have you take the lead on this because we've been hearing this Kevin Durant news for about 4 months, and now the 3 teams are that he's looking at, and this is according to ESPN. Of course, these assholes are the Miami Heat, the Spurs, and the Houston Rockets. Mike, you're close to the situation. What you think's going on? What you think Phoenix gonna do?
Look, if the Phoenix Suns are gonna do it for the future and for the rebuild, they're gonna go get their draft prospects. And if you throw it back, I want to say at least a year ago when we talked about last year's trade deadline and Kevin Durant, I think I had mentioned him going to Houston as a possibility because they actually went and got all those picks that the Suns got rid of for Kevin Durant. They went and got those picks. So they own the Phoenix Suns' future, and it could easily be, give us Kevin Durant and we'll swap for your future again. And it actually erases the whole Kevin Durant situation out here in Arizona. Like, it's almost like it was a dream that we had a superstar like that out here. Because there's no rings, there's no nothing with it, but we get that same future back. It is what it is. I think that if you ask me, him going to the Spurs would be bananas. I think him going to the Spurs would be crazy good. That catapults them in the West to me. And putting him with Wemby, they got ridiculous length. They've got the ability to score, rebound, whatever. And then they've got De'Aaron Fox. They got my man Castle over there too. Like, that's going to be a team that for a couple of years, that could be a transition team right there. I like that team a lot. But we'll see if he goes to the Heat because that's always been in talks. And they're back in the talks. Yeah, we said that the Heat are going to always be up there, but I think they're going to come up just a little bit short. I think he's going to end up.
I hope they come up a little bit short.
I think Phoenix is going for their future.
Pat, if you're Houston, do you swap Jalen Green for Kevin Durant? We're not talking about the picks right now, but they're not right now. Houston isn't so ingrained in Jalen Green as being that guy. They're not sure if he can be that guy.
They're not sure, yes, but he is still very young, and he's very talented. So you have to really see where that goes. If they're trying to win now, I would say yes. But if you're looking long term, I would say no. I would try to keep that young team together and build something there. Kevin Durant is in his 18th season, bro. Like, no sir. Jalen Green is a young talent. That's a young team. They were at the second best record in the West this season. A great coach, not a great coach, a very good coach, and Ime Udoka. You don't mess that up, bro. You gotta you build from that. You don't bring in a superstar and push back your young star unless you're trying to win now. If you're not, then I would think long term. And I don't know about him fitting on the Spurs, like because they have young talent there too. I don't know how he would fit in there. There's
They don't have the
some
guy.
veterans there, but and the Heat, Kevin Durant. If you just, bro, you just speaking on Houston? Because don't go to Miami, bro, unless you just going to retire, bro. There's nothing there for you, sir. Okay?
I'm gonna address the Heat standpoint.
Okay, because trash. Okay.
So from the Spurs standpoint, like I said, right now, Wemby's good. Trust me, Wemby's good. Wemby's going to be great if he stays healthy, but he's not that guy. If they can get Durant there, he can take that pressure off of Wemby. You still have De'Aaron Fox. You still have Chris Paul, who can provide some leadership. So I think that might be, from a basketball standpoint, it'd be the better fit for
get the Rookie of the Year.
I'm sorry, who?
They have the Rookie of the Year as well.
What's his name? I'm old.
Castle or Cassell? I don't know how to
pronounce it.
Yeah. So from a basketball standpoint, I think the Spurs would actually be the best fit for Durant. Mm-hmm. If he's trying to win a championship really quick, though, he needs to go east. No, I'm being real right now. He needs to go east if he's trying to win a championship, because that's going to be the easiest path. The Spurs is the best basketball move, but you still got to deal with OKC. OKC's not going anywhere. I don't even think Kevin Durant on a Spurs team now can even get through Denver. Okay, so the easier path to the championship would be the East, which everyone says is wide open right now. So it all depends.
With who, though? On the Heat?
Yes. Yeah, the Heat, yeah.
Yes, because here's why. From a basketball standpoint, here's why. If we can, and don't get me wrong, I don't want Kevin Durant on the team. Let's be clear with that. I'm not talking from a homer standpoint. But if you can keep Bam, which we're not trading Bam. If you keep Bam, you keep Hero, you add Durant.
So then what you're saying they give up Wiggins?
Well, you give up Wiggins and you give up our center, Khalil Ware, who Phoenix wants. Okay?
Yeah.
And you can also throw in Duncan Robinson or trade Duncan Robinson to Brooklyn, because they're talking about a 3-team trade. Brooklyn would get involved and get rid of Cam Johnson. Okay? So ironically, it'll be funny if he goes back to Phoenix.
Back to Phoenix, yeah.
But the Heat could put something together that would give Kevin Durant a faster path to the championship, like an easier path to the championship. But from the basketball standpoint, the Spurs would be the better fit.
Is it an easier path, or is it just the carrot, in front of the horse? When you talk about the Miami Heat.
No, I'm not. I don't want Durant on the team. I told you, I don't want.
The Heat are not winning anything with their current roster, bro, or with Kevin Durant. What are you talking about, bro?
So the
easiest path.
Last 5 years, we were in the finals. So put
with Jimmy Butler.
That's fine.
You're gonna tell me that Kevin Durant's not better than Jimmy Butler?
Right. At the end of the game, I would rather have Kevin Durant take the game with a shot versus Jimmy. At the end of the game.
Man, what has Kevin Durant won as the guy on his team?
Absolutely nothing. He's the greatest role player in the history of the NBA, as Bryce says. But
thank you.
He's 6'10", can pull up from anywhere. Okay. At the end of the game, I would rather have him shooting the ball versus Jimmy Butler versus Tyler Hero for damn sure versus Bam.
For damn sure.
Yeah, I would think that Tyler Hero would be part of the deal, though.
Well,
wouldn't it?
Pat Riley, man. I'll never say anything bad about Pat Riley, but man, he has a hard on for Tyler Hero, man. I'm telling you, it's just it's the Kentucky connection. I know that's what he's gonna say, but shit, Bam was from Kentucky too. Look,
I'll be honest, for Phoenix though, I don't like any of those teams and the moves that they're gonna get. Like, I really don't.
They're not gonna get a lot for him.
Yeah, I mean, he's a couple years more into his career. So yes, he is a couple years older than what he was when those picks, let's say, that Houston has when those were given up. He's a couple years older than that. So yeah, he's got wear and tear on himself. But even then, those picks, they're not going to be that great. So I don't know. I think the Suns are in for it for a long time, let me tell you. Especially because this Bradley Beal thing isn't working out.
Oh, absolutely. He fucked y'all. So we have the NBA draft next week. I want to say, I'm going to throw it to Pat. Is there anything that you think the Lakers need from a draft standpoint to help Luka and help LeBron take the next step?
We need size. Pause. We need length. Pause. We need
Pause.
height. I'm not gonna pause that one. Yes, we need people who. We don't need you to score. We just need
You got
somebody
Jackson
down
Hayes.
there. What? The foul guy, the guy who gets 4 fouls in the first quarter, that guy.
That beats women.
Yeah. We need length, and we need rebounding, and we need a lob threat, and we need someone who makes better decisions in games. We know Jackson Hayes doesn't make great decisions, guys, on and off the court. Okay, so, yeah, I'm not going to rely on Jackson Hayes to take us to the promised land. We need somebody. We need bodies for Joker, and and we also need to think about we really don't invest in our picks. We are free agent market people, so we just need somebody down there who can grab some rebounds, block some shots, get back on transition. That's what we need, bro. That's what we need. Height to compete with the rest of the league. We need height.
Mike, let me ask you this question because I know your other team, the Detroit Pistons, have built through the draft the last few years. What do you think the Pistons would need?
The Pistons, kind of like, I don't know, with the way that I'm seeing some of these teams when you're talking about the Pistons and even the Lakers at this point, it's not necessarily something that's needed through the draft because there is youth, especially in Detroit. But it's building through those small extra pieces now and fitting them. For one, these upcoming drafts are going to be very thin unless you're in the top couple picks, right? Unless you're in the top 4 or 5, these drafts are going to be fairly thin through the whole thing. So building through free agency and adding those one extra pieces that are needed, like Pat's saying, a new center, big man. You're not going to find that in the draft this year, for one, and two, you're not going to find the experience. Like, even if you drafted one, they're not going to be playing and making a massive impact on the game right away, right? Same thing with what Detroit is looking at. We've got the young talent that we've built through the draft. We need a leader that's going to be one of these free agents or making one of these big deals, right? If we're one piece away, I've heard Naz Reid's name being thrown around. I've actually heard Kevin Durant's name being thrown around up until those 3 teams were announced. The long shot and Devin Booker moving him from the Suns, right? That's that extra veteran piece, and that's what's going to be needed from a lot of these teams that are just one piece away. It's not going to be built through the draft.
What about
I think Detroit? You get a free agent, a big free agent.
I've said for a while here, I feel like they're going to end up getting a move that's going to bring Devin Booker to Detroit.
He was in that for a couple of years. Mm-hmm. What do you think about Jaylen Brown?
Like, as a free agent?
As a human being.
Trading for Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, I mean, if the Pistons could trade for Jaylen Brown, that would be great. I think that, at that point, to me, you're taking the better of the two. Like, I feel like Jason Tatum is good, right? He's supposed to be this guy. But when I need to put this in kind of like baseball terms, right? When you have 2 great hitters and they go back to back, you usually put those guys at spot 3 and 4. And usually spot number 4 benefits from the guy in spot number 3. Whether it's walks or whether it's, the type of pitches that are coming through. That 4th batter, I saw it a lot when Prince Fielder was in Detroit, right? It was Miguel Cabrera, Prince Fielder. You had to go back to back with those guys. It was very difficult. Prince benefited a lot from that. In this case, Jason Tatum benefits a lot from Jaylen Brown being on the court. And I feel like if you take Jaylen Brown away, you're going to expose Jason Tatum to not actually be the guy that they really want.
Well, just from a salary standpoint, They're gonna try their best to keep it together, but they're just not gonna be able to. So that's what I mean. One of them has to go. I know they're not going to trade Jason Tatum, so then by default it's going to be Jaylen Brown.
And
so
here we go again. His name's been always thrown out there. Like at that point, where does the disrespect stop?
Pat, you got some objections there. What's going on?
The Jason Tatum hate, bro. I don't understand, my guy.
I'm not hating.
I just said he was a good player. What are you talking about?
I'm not hating on him.
He's just a good player. Just
He's
not even the better player on his whole team though. Look who won the Finals MVP when they won a year ago.
So
it was Jaylen Brown.
Wow. Here we go again. Patrick defending Boston Celtic. Wow.
That should be a crime.
Jason Tatum is just he's not the best player on the Celtics. That is
he's not. He's not. No, he's not. If you look at it from a basketball standpoint, you have to play offense and defense. So he's not the best two-way player on the team. He's not.
The guy who led in every statistical category on his team is not the best player on his team.
He got hurt, but they were still down to the Knicks before he got hurt.
What? The first team, all NBA.
Hey, if Jaylen Brown moves, and you know what, I hope he does because then individuals will see.
Then we'll know
what it is at that point when Jason Tatum is exposed as being that guy and the only one on the team. It's going to take the Celtics are going to take a massive.
Hey, Jaylen Brown had the opportunity to show the world he was that guy this playoff run here. What happened, guys?
Nobody ever said that he's that guy, but he is the one.
Knee injury. He just had knee surgery a few days ago.
Oh, excuses. Okay, here we go.
No, not excuses.
Yo, haters. We all some haters, bro.
He was fucking hurt. He was hurt this year. Forgive me. Jaylen Brown played the second half of the season with that knee injury, so he was hurt. Yeah.
Okay.
This is what I say, and I'm not hating on Jason Tatum. I'm not at all.
Yeah, no hate.
Yeah, if Mike is correct, they fuck what Boston says. They have to make a trade. They absolutely have. They're not. Their tax number is not going to be bigger than their payroll in this upcoming season, so they're going to have to do something. So with that said, if they move Jaylen Brown, not this year, if they move Jaylen Brown this year, it won't be next year until Tatum really comes back and is his self. That will show everyone how legit he is as the guy. Because right now, look, me and Mike, we're not in the minority of saying that Jason Tatum may not be that guy yet.
Oh, I know. All
the noise is out there, right?
Oh yeah.
But if Jaylen Brown is removed from the team, when Jason Tatum comes back healthy, now he has a shot to shut everyone up. And we just haven't seen it yet because those two have always been together. That's what we're trying to say.
So what I guess, would you consider Detroit as a small market team?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, you would, right? So how in the hell would a team like that afford a contract?
I mean, you got to move some people. You got to move.
I mean, yeah, you're gonna have to move mountains for that, and then I think that would then completely disrupt the core that Detroit's focusing on right now. So,
I mean, Booker's
at that point, then you're really going to narrow down. Like, if you're talking about the contract itself and what's going to be given up, you can easily narrow those teams down. Where either Boston's going to have to eat this and do something with a renegotiation at some point, or he's only going to go to a couple of large market teams that can afford it.
The reason why I said it is because, don't get me wrong, Booker's contract wasn't as big as Jaylen Brown's contract,
right?
But I think Jaylen Brown would fit your team a little better than Devin Booker would. That's just me.
I would agree. No, trust me, I would agree 100%.
Yeah. Cade still has to be the guy, but I think Brown could play off of Cade better than Booker will. Okay. As far as contract negotiations, when was the last time we seen that in the NBA? Or contract restructuring? Dude, this was a long time since we seen these players ain't giving up shit. Okay?
Yeah, I think Jaylen Brown would fit the identity of Detroit, period, a lot better than Devin Booker because we've never been a points team. We've always been like a defensive-minded team, and I was watching that through a lot of the playoffs. Is like I can see a lot of the early 2000s Pistons and even the early 90s Pistons within this team as far as how they approach each game on the defensive side. Like, I'm loving where we're going right now. It's not something that we're not used to. We're not used to putting up 150 or 130 or 140 points, right? We're not used to that. We'll put up 80 and win. You know?
Yeah, that was it. The 79, 70 games back in the 90s.
Mm-hmm. Fuck Detroit.
You still mad about 2004, bro? You still mad about 2004?
Yeah, in 89 or whatever, every year, yeah.
Let me ask you this, Pat. As far as Minnesota,
okay,
they were in the conversation earlier for Kevin Durant before this last update yesterday. What do you think Minnesota has to do to help Ant-Man out to take that next step?
Wow, that's a good question. They have a good team, man. I don't know. That's a great question. They've been to the Western Conference Finals 2 years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think their problem is talent. It's maybe utilization of talent. Like, I think it's more mental than actual, talent. Man, that's a great question. They have a good team, man. I mean, in every position, they have solid players. They're a deep team. They're well coached. They have a superstar. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what it would take for them to get over the top.
Are they well coached though?
More discipline, maybe. I don't know. That's a great. You got ask somebody else that one. I can't really. So great question.
The reason why I asked that is because they're only weak. Okay, let me back up. As a coach, as a leader, you have to get the best out of your players. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
From watching that series, I don't think Ant gave his best in that series. Okay. Even though they got to the fucking conference finals, like you said, the last 2 years. So I think he needs a coach that knows how to push his buttons a little bit. Somebody like a Mike Malone. Okay. Who's floating out there. Who's floating out there, right? I don't know if Minnesota would have the balls to make that move because Chris Finch is a good coach and he grew up in the NBA. Like, he's a good dude. But being good and being nice only gets you so far. Okay. So I think it might be time for a new voice in that locker room.
Mm-hmm.
I think he needs a coach that's a dick, like Michael Malone. Like, look, you can't call him Mike Malone. He gets mad. You have to call him Michael Malone, right? He's a dick. Or a dick like Rick Carlisle, or even though Spoelstra's never leaving Miami, a coach like Spoelstra, right?
Spoelstra, out of there.
No, he ain't going nowhere.
I give him 2 more years. He'll out of there.
2 more years, he's gonna be the president of the team. That's what.
He's gonna be a lifer.
Dude, he's a made man, bro. But I think Ant-Man needs that, and I'm not saying for him to leave, but I'm just saying I think if I'm Minnesota, I'm calling Michael Malone and saying, "Hey, what we got to do to get you up here, Mike? What do you think about that one?"
No, I would agree 100%. I mean, what we saw in the conference finals was literally a difference in coaching. That's all it was. I think if there were some adjustments that Minnesota could have made, they possibly could have taken OKC out because their defense was playing just up there, right there with OKC every game. So, there are a couple swings that could have happened one way or the other. So we're talking about, a couple plays throughout the game that could have made a huge change and a huge difference in momentum swings. And I feel that is just literally on coaching. The adjustments that were made, it's almost like, for me, there were certain things that worked, and then what would work, it wouldn't go back to. For example, when we saw Rudy Gobert out there with 27 and 24, that was against the Lakers. Right, and they played that big game, right? So I didn't mean to take a shot at the Lakers, but I'm saying that.
Yes, you did.
No, because I was one that was sitting there calling for that series to be a Lakers hands down type move, and they ended up losing. Like, I gave you your flowers on that one.
Move on, sir. Move on.
But but I'm saying, like, those type of coaching adjustments, we've seen them throughout the playoffs, and there wasn't a definite game plan for anything. And I think if you can create that type of game plan, Get a coach in there that has a sturdy approach, ready in that case, on the pivot. And not just that, but like you said, can get the attention of Anthony Edwards. That could get them that XP to get them over that hump. You don't go 2 years in a row in the Western Conference final and sit here and say, well, we need to rebuild and we need to do this. No, it's one small move. And that could just be a coaching change.
And two more things. One, that's why even though I don't like Kevin Durant, I like Kevin Durant to Miami and even the Spurs to a certain degree because they have structure there. We know when Kevin Durant freelances and has all the power, the team is trash. We've seen it in Brooklyn. We've seen it in Phoenix, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So he needs to go somewhere where he has structure, which San Antonio and Miami would give him. Here's a question I forgot to ask earlier. My fault, again. Before Game 4, we saw OKC revert back to the starting lineup that they used the majority of the season. I don't think it was that much impactful in them winning the game. They just won the game because they were probably going to win the game anyway. But what do you think about the lineup switch that OKC made before Game 4? Pat, throw it to you first.
Chess. I don't know. I don't know. That's been a topic of discussion. The lineup changes and all of that, man. It obviously worked out in their benefit that they changed the lineup. I don't know, man. This is it's I don't know. I think the series is so close and in the competition in this series. So whatever you can try, man. I don't know. Like, McConnell was MVP in Game 3. It's like whatever you can do to get the advantage here. I really don't put too much thought into the lineup changes. The coaching staff is way more knowledgeable of the game than I am. So whatever they think, man, bring Reggie Miller. I mean, not Reggie Miller. Get Kendrick Perkins in there if you can, bro. For OKC, bro. Whatever you can.
Man, Perkins.
Whatever strategy you
tired in
think
2 minutes, man. 2 minutes, Perk will be done. Mike, what do you think about them reverting back to their core lineup in game?
And the core lineup had it was the Chet Holmgren and Isaiah Hartenstein together, right?
Right.
I think that was. I mean, it was a little bit of change of pace in my opinion, but I think kind of what Pat was getting to there is the bench has really been the difference here. A lot within each game.
Yeah.
TJ McConnell coming off in game 3.
Mm-hmm.
Game 4, OKC's bench was playing very well. Right.
They still got outscored though, I believe.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it was because Benedict Mathurin was out there hooping.
Yeah, Obi Toppin.
Yes. But I think that's been the strength mainly, I guess, in that case for the Pacers, if you want to look at it that route, keeping them in this series and not letting OKC run away with it. I think Jalen Williams on the OKC side has played a great pivotal position in this, in the sense that I've seen his energy lift up the team come quarter 3, quarter 4. And let me tell you, that man has the prettiest left hand pause in the whole game. Yo, that man's left hand layups. Oh my God. I'm like, all right. You don't see that too often the way that he plays anymore. And I think that that kind of stood out for me the way that he was kind of approaching. So I think, the starting lineups switching back and forth aren't necessarily as big as compared to what the bench has been making.
I agree. Alex Caruso played a big role in that victory the other night. So
he was a menace.
The bench play definitely is a big part of the success of both teams in this series.
Mm-hmm. The series is probably going to come down to the next 3 games, however it goes, going to come down to which white boy off the bench plays the best. I think that's what's going to come down to.
Caruso or McConnell. Caruso or McConnell.
That's what's going to come down
to. They said, I saw a meme that said, I think I shared it. McConnell is the LeBron James of the Dellavedovas. Like, he's the greatest Dellavedova of all time. That's crazy.
Oh man, that's a good point. Good spot to close it. With that being said, everyone please like, subscribe, and share our content. Drop comments below. We always respond. Everyone stay safe, and we are out.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was a great way to go out, man.